The easiest person to control is not the weakest person in the room, it is the most reactive. The man who gets angry when insulted, the man who panics when ignored, the man who explains himself when misunderstood, the man who changes his direction because someone disapproves. He may look strong, but emotionally, he has strings attached to him, and anyone intelligent enough can pull them. That is the uncomfortable truth Machiavelli understood centuries ago. Power does not begin with controlling other people. Power begins when other people can no longer control you. Through praise, through rejection, through guilt, through fear, through silence, through disrespect, through the threat of walking away. Because if someone can change your emotional state on command, they have access to your decisions. And if they have access to your decisions, they have access to your life. Machiavelli studied rulers, enemies, betrayal, loyalty, perception, and human weakness. But beneath all of it sits one brutal principle. The person who controls himself is harder to control. By the end of this video, you will understand 7 rules for becoming emotionally untouchable. Not emotionless, not cruel, not numb, controlled. You will still feel anger. You just will not obey it. You will still experience rejection. You just will not collapse because of it. You will still hear criticism. You just will not hand strangers authority over your identity. This is not about becoming cold toward life. It is about becoming dangerous to manipulation. Before we begin, drop this affirmation in the comments. My emotions serve me. They do not rule me. Now listen carefully. Number 1, stop needing to be understood. One of the weakest addictions is the addiction to being understood. Someone misunderstands you. You explain. They question your decision. You explain again. They accuse you of something. Now you write paragraphs. You send messages. You provide evidence. You replay the conversation at 2 in the morning, imagining the perfect response. Why? Because deep inside, you still need their agreement before you can feel at peace. That is emotional dependency disguised as communication. A powerful person knows something different. Not every misunderstanding requires correction. Sometimes people misunderstand you because they lack information. Sometimes because they have already decided who you are. And sometimes because misunderstanding you serves their interests. No explanation will fix the third kind. Psychologically, the need to defend yourself is often connected to social threat. Your brain treats rejection from the group as important because human beings evolved in tribes where exclusion could have serious consequences. So criticism can trigger an emotional response before rational thought catches up. Your nervous system says, fix this, explain yourself, restore approval. But you are no longer living in a prehistoric tribe. Someone disliking your decision is not death. Someone misunderstanding you is not an emergency. Pause, observe, choose. Marcus Aurelius ruled the Roman Empire while facing political pressure, war, disease, betrayal, and criticism. He could not possibly control what millions of people thought about him. So his philosophy kept returning to what remained under his control. His judgment, his actions, his character. A strategist understands the same principle. You cannot build an independent identity while begging for permission to possess one. Every unnecessary explanation is information. You reveal what bothers you. You reveal whose approval matters. Stop volunteering the map to your nervous system. Your life is not a courtroom. You are not required to defend your existence. The moment you stop needing to be understood, manipulation loses one of its favorite doors. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I do not explain my worth. Number 2, never react at the speed of emotion. Your first reaction is rarely your strongest reaction. It is simply your fastest. Someone disrespects you. Your body heats up. Your jaw tightens. Your mind starts manufacturing responses. Someone ignores your message. You immediately imagine rejection. Someone challenges you. Your ego demands retaliation. This is where undisciplined people expose themselves. They react before they understand. Machiavelli would have considered that strategically disastrous. Because an emotional reaction gives information to everyone except you. They discover what triggers you. You learn nothing. The brain's threat systems can activate faster than deliberate reasoning. When you feel attacked, stress can narrow attention toward immediate danger. That is useful if something is physically threatening you. It is less useful when your boss sends a cold email or when somebody insults your ego. A controlled man creates distance between stimulus and response. Think about Abraham Lincoln. When Lincoln became furious with generals or political opponents, he sometimes wrote what became known as hot letters. He poured the anger onto paper. Then he often did not send them. That distinction matters. He felt the emotion, but feeling did not automatically become action. That is mastery. Weak people think emotional control means feeling nothing. Wrong. A powerful person feels the fire. He simply decides whether the fire deserves oxygen. Now comes the dangerous part. When people realize you are reactive, they can manufacture your behavior. They provoke. You explode. They withdraw. You chase. Look at that pattern. Number 3. Remove your addiction to approval. There is a hidden transaction destroying millions of people. I will betray myself if you promise to like me. Nobody says it out loud, but people live it every day. They stay silent when boundaries are crossed. They agree when they want to say no. They keep terrible friendships. They tolerate disrespect. They abandon goals their families do not understand. They become smaller so insecure people can remain comfortable around them. And then they call themselves nice. No. Sometimes you are not being nice. You are being afraid. Afraid of being disliked. Afraid of disappointing people. Afraid of standing alone. Machiavelli understood that public affection is unstable. People's opinions move with circumstances. Today they celebrate you. Tomorrow they condemn you. Build your identity on approval, and your identity will move with the crowd. There is a psychological reason approval feels powerful. Social acceptance activates reward systems. Rejection creates distress, so when you repeatedly seek reassurance, your brain learns a pattern. Approval equals relief. Now you need another dose, another compliment, another message, another person telling you that you made the correct decision. That is dependence. Steve Jobs was famously willing to reject consensus when he believed Apple needed a different direction. Meaningful creation requires tolerating disagreement. If you need universal approval, you can only build what everyone already accepts. And nothing transformative begins there. Imagine this. You make a difficult decision. 3 people criticize you. The new identity asks, are they qualified to evaluate this decision? Do they understand the objective? Will they live with the consequences? If not, their opinion is information, not authority. Understand the difference. You can listen without obeying. You can consider criticism without surrendering identity. You can disappoint someone without becoming a bad person. Machiavelli wrote that people generally judge more by what they see than by what they truly know. Control your behavior. Control your standards. Let perception belong to everyone else. A dangerous person does not need the room to clap before he moves. Approval is pleasant. Dependence on approval is a prison. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose standards over approval. Number 4. Make your boundaries boringly consistent. People rarely disrespect you because of one dramatic event. They study your tolerances through small events. A joke at your expense. You laugh nervously. A broken promise. You say nothing. Someone repeatedly wastes your time. You keep accommodating them. Someone speaks to you in a way you would never speak to them. You excuse it. Then you wonder why the behavior gets worse. Because you trained them. People learn your standards by observing what happens when those standards are violated, not by listening to speeches about self-respect. This is where Machiavellian thinking becomes useful without becoming cruel. Power is not screaming. Power is consequence. No drama, no revenge, no theatrical anger. Clear standard, clear response. If somebody is consistently late, you do not need a 20-minute lecture. You can say, my time matters. If you're late again, we'll reschedule. Then follow through. That is it. Behavioral psychology is simple here. Behaviors followed by no meaningful consequence are easier to repeat. Behaviors consistently followed by an unwanted outcome are less attractive. People adapt to patterns, so become a pattern. Kobe Bryant built his reputation around extreme preparation. Teammates knew what standard they were walking into because the behavior was repeated, morning after morning, practice after practice, year after year. His standard did not depend on his mood. That consistency created identity, and identity created expectations. Weak people constantly announce boundaries they never enforce. Strong people barely announce them because their behavior makes the boundary obvious. You say less, you enforce more, you warn less, you demonstrate more, you complain less, you decide more. Here is the pattern interrupt. Look at the person who frustrates you most. Now ask yourself something uncomfortable. What have you repeatedly allowed that you secretly resent? That answer matters, because resentment often grows where boundaries should have been. Do not become aggressive. Become clear. Do not become cruel. Become consistent. Do not threaten consequences you will not enforce. That destroys credibility. A boundary without enforcement is a request, and repeated requests teach people that your standards are negotiable. Your peace becomes expensive when people learn there is a cost to violating it. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My boundaries do not negotiate. Now move with intention. Every decision is a brick in the wall of your character. Let silence speak where words failed. Number 5. Use silence before you use words. Most people are terrified of silence. That is why silence is powerful. Someone asks an uncomfortable question. They answer immediately. Someone accuses them. They rush to defend themselves. Someone creates tension. They start talking just to make the tension disappear. And the more they speak, the more they reveal their insecurity, their priorities, their fear, their desperation, their position. A strategist understands something different. Information has value, and silence protects information. This does not mean ignoring people to manipulate them. It means refusing to speak merely because discomfort demands it. In negotiation research, silence can create space for reflection and often encourages the other person to continue talking. Why? Because human beings tend to dislike uncertain social gaps. We want resolution, we want feedback, we want to know where we stand. So we fill silence, and while others fill it, a disciplined person observes. Tone, body language, contradictions, intentions, details. Your job is not to make them uncomfortable. Your job is to stop rescuing yourself from discomfort with unnecessary words. Machiavelli understood the strategic importance of appearance and concealed intention. You do not need to reveal every plan before it is ready. Napoleon was obsessed with information, timing, terrain, and the movements of opponents. Military advantage was not created by announcing every intention. It came from knowing more while revealing less. Your everyday life is not a battlefield, but the principle survives. Stop announcing goals before they become real. Stop telling everybody your next move. Stop explaining every emotion while you are still processing it. Stop giving premature access to unfinished plans. Work, build, observe, then reveal results. And in conflict, do not let silence scare you. Someone says something provocative. Pause. Look at them. Consider. Then answer only what deserves an answer. You will discover something strange. When you stop filling every silence, people begin revealing themselves. They explain what you did not ask. They expose uncertainty. They soften statements. They show you what matters to them. Your job is not to make them uncomfortable. Your job is to stop rescuing yourself from discomfort with unnecessary words. Remember, every word should have a job. If it has no job, let silence work. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I reveal only what serves the mission. Now keep your plans in the shadows until they are ready to strike. The world only needs to see the result. Number 6. Stop taking everything personally. This rule will remove half your emotional suffering. Not everything is about you. The rude employee may be having a terrible day. Your friend's delayed reply may have nothing to do with you. Your boss's criticism may be about the work. The stranger's insult may reveal more about his insecurity than your value. But your ego wants to personalize everything. Why? Because personal meaning creates emotional intensity. Once the event becomes about me, your identity enters the fight. Now a simple disagreement becomes disrespect. A delay becomes rejection. Failure becomes proof that you are worthless. This is where stoicism and Machiavellian strategy meet. Separate the event from the interpretation. Epictetus taught that people are disturbed not simply by events, but by the judgments they form about those events. That distinction is freedom. Your brain is constantly predicting meaning from incomplete information. It fills gaps. It creates stories. And when emotions are intense, those stories can become darker and more certain than the evidence deserves. So challenge the story. Someone rejects you. Fact, they said no. Story, I am not enough. Someone criticizes your presentation. Fact, they identified a weakness. Story, everyone thinks I'm incompetent. Someone leaves. Fact, the relationship ended. Story, I will always be abandoned. See the difference? Facts hurt. Stories can torture you for years. Separate yourself from the narrative of the old identity. Marcus Aurelius lived with betrayal, illness, political pressure, and death around him. His stoic practice was not pretending events were pleasant. It was refusing to add unnecessary suffering through uncontrolled judgment. Here is what most people never notice. The old identity turns every event into evidence about itself. The new identity extracts information. What can I learn? What is actually true? What action is required? That is a completely different operating system. Criticism becomes data. Rejection becomes redirection. Failure becomes feedback. Disrespect becomes information about the person in front of you. You do not need to absorb everything. You can observe it without becoming it. You are not every thought. You are not every emotion. When nothing automatically becomes personal, very little can penetrate your identity. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My identity is not available for negotiation. Number 7, build an identity. Your emotions cannot overrule. This is the final rule, and without it, the other 6 eventually collapse. Because discipline based on mood is temporary, boundaries based on mood are temporary, silence based on mood is temporary, confidence based on mood is temporary. You need something stronger than emotion. You need identity. Most people wake up and ask, how do I feel today? A disciplined person asks, who am I regardless of how I feel? That question changes everything, because feelings fluctuate. Identity stabilizes behavior. Psychologically, habits become easier to maintain when they are connected to a consistent self-concept. Every repeated action becomes evidence for the person you believe yourself to be. Brick by brick, the nervous system learns. This is who we are now. Now comes the part that will expose you. You keep saying you want to become stronger, but you keep protecting the behaviors that keep you weak. You want discipline, but protect your excuses. You want peace, but keep returning to chaos. You want confidence, but keep begging for validation. You want a new life, but remain loyal to the old identity. That cannot continue. Something has to die, not you. The identity. Destroy the agreement with that person, not through motivation, through repetition. Every time the old identity says react, pause. Every time it says chase, stay still. Every time it says explain, say less. Every time it says quit, continue. Every time it says seek approval, return to your standard. This is how emotional invulnerability is built, not in one heroic moment, in hundreds of invisible decisions. Machiavelli studied power between people. Stoicism studied power within the self. Combine them, and the principle becomes simple. Control yourself before trying to control anything outside yourself. That is the new standard. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. The old identity has no authority over me. Now move with the weight of your new standard. The world is watching what you become. 7 rules. Stop needing to be understood. Never react at the speed of emotion. Remove your addiction to approval. Make your boundaries consistent. Use silence before words. Stop taking everything personally. And build an identity your emotions cannot overrule. But understand something. Watching this video changes nothing. Agreeing with it changes nothing. Feeling powerful for 20 minutes changes absolutely nothing. This is not motivation. This is identity replacement. The old identity waits for feelings. The new identity follows standards. The old identity needs approval. The new identity needs alignment. The old identity reacts. The new identity observes. The old identity reveals everything. The new identity understands the value of silence. The old identity says, this is just who I am. The new identity says, watch what I become. You are standing at a decision now, not tomorrow, not Monday, Not when life becomes easier. Now. Because the next insult will test you. The next rejection will test you. The next temptation will test you. The next moment of loneliness will test you. And when that moment arrives, nobody will care that you watched a video about self-control. You either became the person or you didn't. So when life pushes the button it used to push, do something different. Pause, observe, choose. That single pause is where the old identity begins losing control. Leave one final affirmation below. I control myself. Therefore, I cannot be controlled. A loud man can intimidate a room. A rich man can purchase influence. But the man who cannot be emotionally controlled possesses something far rarer. He owns himself. And once a man truly owns himself, the world loses its favorite weapon against him.